Okay, well, better late than never. Hi, this is Imani, and this is your sign to go with your gut. I am here today to present the Milk Jug Mafia to you. This is an extended series and also my baby. This is a podcast that I came up with when I was maybe 6 or 7 months postpartum with my child. There is so much information that I have gathered since before I had children about motherhood and about Western medicine in this world that I've always wanted to give back and share with people. I get so many people who come to me for advice and for help. And if you're not here listening right now, then you better get on board now because this is about to be an extended cruise. Okay, so the part that's the most anticipated is my birth story. I really don't think people care that much, but I guess somebody does since here we are. But I've had quite a few women asked me to explain my whole birth story to them and all these questions. So we're just going to lay all of that out on the table right here, right now. So if anybody asks me about my birth experience, any type of questions, they will have to refer to this going forward. I will not be explaining my birth to anybody after I record this. So I got pregnant I found out early April of 2020. And that was right when the world announced that we were being shut down for COVID. So I was working from home as a CNA through an agency. So I had like patients by assignment. So my life was pretty simple. It wasn't too much to adapt to. I just kind of stuck with my same patients and wore a mask to work every day while I was nauseated, throwing up, sick. And starting out, didn't I wanted to do a home birth, but I really was just still kind of stuck in that mindset where I was kind of letting the world convince me that it was something that I couldn't do. So I got a doctor to refer me to an OBGYN that was very backed up on appointments. So it was going to be weeks before I was able to be seen. So I started going to this ultrasound place here in Florida where I live. And I would just, get the little Dopplers, check her heartbeat, see what was going on. I actually found out her gender at an ultrasound spot because the appointments were that backed up. And I was maybe 6 months into my pregnancy when I finally saw my OBGYN, like good and had a decent appointment. And afterwards, I was like, okay, this isn't going to work because the OBGYN said they don't support home births at all and that I would have to go somewhere else. And they were just trying to put me in the hospital. And I was just like, well, it's kind of funny. I don't really have you're saying I don't have an option, but I know I do. So I'm calling my best friend and I'm like, this is something I've always wanted to do and da da da. And she knows everything about what I want for my future, my children, my life, all of that. So she was like, look, if this is really something you wanted to do, like just try. Like you didn't even try. You haven't even explored the possibilities. And I'm like, you're right. So I called my insurance and they actually told me that if a midwifery service covers my insurance, then I can have a midwife using my insurance. Like if they accept it, they'll cover it. So I found a company here in Florida that has midwives. And what people don't know is that there are only certain states in this country where they actually have midwives who go through a extensive curriculum. They get properly certified by the state, and Florida is one of those states. So I found a company to go through, and I was maybe 7 months pregnant at this point, and I completely transitioned everything over to my midwives. And I saw them more times in the last trimester of my pregnancy than I saw an OBGYN my entire pregnancy. So I'll just start there with that. But regardless, I paid them some fees and they did all this basic stuff that you would get at an OB appointment. They did my blood work, they did my glucose test, they did everything that you would normally do with an OBGYN. And rambling towards the end of my pregnancy, they came to my house. They told me what home birthing kit to buy. I think I maybe spent $100 out of pocket on the supplies needed for the house, which wasn't anything to me because I worked so hard my whole pregnancy and all of it was worth it in the end. But my due date was November 27th or somewhere in there. My baby was born on December 8th. My water broke on at midnight on December 7th. And some hours went by, and my midwives came to my house checking my dilation, all this stuff. And there was also meconium in my water when it broke. And for those of you that don't know what that means, that basically means that my child had a bowel movement in my stomach, or she was potentially about to have one. So there was a slight concern for that. And my midwives set me up for a hospital emergency care. Like, in case something happened and I had to go to the hospital, I already had a hospital and everything picked out. So when my water broke and after so many hours went by, I wasn't dilated. She wasn't trying to come out. And plus, there was meconium in my water when it broke. They were like, look, my midwives told me to just go ahead and make my way to the hospital. And I definitely did that. I went to the hospital, got checked in. They put me on Pitocin. The nurse that I had there was on a shift that was changing. Like, I got there right before they changed to the night shift. And the nurse I had me strapped down to the bed, not restrained, but like she didn't want me to really get up. They had me hooked up to this monitor that took my blood pressure every 15 minutes. It was really uncomfortable, really inconvenient. And as the Pitocin kicked in, the contractions got worse and they were more painful. And I didn't want to take medicine. I just wanted to get up. And luckily, right as I wanted all that to happen, the night shift came, and those nurses were God sent angels, because they took me off the blood pressure cuffs and they had me on a wireless monitor that checked my heart rate. I don't know why the other nurse didn't do that, but I guess they realized I had medical experience and they were like turning screens away from me. They were trying their best to hide stuff from me, but I was asking questions left and right. But when the night shift came, they gave me a bouncy ball to sit on. I was on and off the toilet. They kept trying to check my dilation. I really wouldn't let them. I was so uncomfortable. By the time they did check me, my baby was fully effaced. So there, even if I wanted epidural or if I wanted to bitch out, it was just too late. So I did all of that just with Pitocin. Everything was really painful. I pushed through. I really just squeezed onto my child's father, like, for support. I really like did all of this with no meds, and I would do it again. But ultimately, everything ended up being fine, and I'm glad I did end up having her at the hospital, only because the support I had from all the people there, like the nurses I really needed it more than I understood. I would have had it at home with my midwives because there was three of them, but I don't regret the experience because I was going to take those precautionary actions for my child regardless. I will always try to have my child going home. I will always try to have my child at home going forward. But I don't regret the experience because I still did it my way. My midwife told me to look into hypnobirthing, and I would encourage any mother to look up what that is. I will post a separate segment and content about what hypnobirthing is, how to actually implement that into your brain, and how to use that on an everyday basis, because hypnobirthing actually changed my life and how I look at the world altogether. And I'm so grateful for the knowledge I have obtained between the beginning of my pregnancy and all the way up to now, and my child is 2 years old. So when I tell you, you really can't expect perfection during your pregnancy, but you really have to have control of your mind. Strength in your mind during a pregnancy is a woman's greatest weapon. We already have the intuition is there for us to use, but man, oh man, the stuff I have learned, I can't wait to share. The Mafia, the name really just has the perfect amount of sass behind it, and that is the only reason why I named it that. There's not like a special backstory about the name that I chose, but I do want to get into the whole reason of why I created this space, especially for myself. I was dating someone some years ago, and he happened to notice a Facebook post where this couple wanted to keep their placenta, and the hospital like was trying to refuse them. And a lot of it made no sense because I'm like, how can someone, like, when you're thinking logically, how can somebody tell you that you can't have something that came out of your body, especially when it comes to respecting or accommodating someone's beliefs? And mind you, I have worked in the healthcare system since 2016, and it is now 2023, and I have seen more than the average person. I have downloaded and processed more than the average person would process in the healthcare field in all these years, because a lot of people are selfish and they're just there for their paycheck. I care about this world, and I always have to understand why things are set up the way they are. And that is what sparked the Milk Jug Mafia. you guys piqued my interest with these unorthodox medical practices. And now I have so many questions and I have so many theories, and I have came to my own conclusions in a lot of ways, and I'm ready to talk about them. Now, with that being said, this introductory episode features a very lovely, lovely mother of mine. She is a wife. She is a great, great friend. She's honestly a mentor almost to me. I don't like to call her that because she's really not that much older than me, but I respect so much of what she says, everything she stands for, just as a human being, as an individual. You will love her as much as I do. And most importantly, she is just a person. Like, she isn't famous. She's not someone that you have to prejudge. Like, this is just someone to hear. This is someone that has lived the same type of life as me and you. She is someone who is also just trying to make an honest, purposeful life for herself and for the Creator. Okay, so we have two special guests, Rachel and Anya. Anya won't be saying too much today, but we will have Rachel start off with her name and her sign and how she's feeling today. I'm Rachel. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling excited. My sign. I'm a Gemini. So don't take that the wrong way. A May Gemini? Yes. May 26th. May 26th, right at the end, right at the cusp. Okay. Well, today we brought you on just to get your insight and your perspective as a young mom, and you are a mother of 4 now, so you are well seasoned. So we gonna run everything down and start with, what year did you become a mom? You know, your age, just starting off with a little backstory. Yeah, 2007. I was 18. I became a mom. I was not ready to be a mom. I was willing. I had to do it. Amiley, she's my firstborn. And it was a journey. I definitely don't know if everyone plans their kids or if they just let it flow, but it was definitely not planned. That was year number 2. Emma, my second, 2010. And then years and years later, right, I started over with LaMelo. Right. 2019. Right. So, and then we have Anya, 2023 baby. New girl. And everyone asks me, you having any more? And I'm like, no. But if I won the lottery, I probably would. I mean, because clearly you love being a mom. Right. And you had all of them vaginally. Yes, they were all vaginal. I was actually super afraid of any type of C-section. Anytime they talked about it, I was like, oh my gosh. And there's nothing wrong with C-sections. It's just that scared me. Right. But yes, they were all vaginal. And with all of them, I really didn't push long. Like, I wasn't in there for 5 hours, 6 hours. I would say, since Amiley was my first, obviously, she was the longest. Yeah. I had epidurals for all of them. And Emma was the only one that wasn't induced. I took a shower. I went upstairs. Actually, first of all, I was walking because I really wanted Emma to come. And I was walking all over the neighborhood. And I went upstairs. I took a shower. I was like, okay, I guess I'll give it a break. And I came back downstairs and I was like, it's time to go. My water hadn't broke or anything. I just knew it was time to go. So I got to the hospital. They checked my dilation. They kept me. And as I was laying there, my water broke. And after that, I probably had Emma about maybe 4 hours later. Oof. They'll put you through it. Yes. But every Miley,
LaMelo and Anya were induced, so I knew exactly when I was going to do them.
Right. By then you were like, okay, I've been here before.
Yeah, but I was still nervous, surprisingly, even for Anya. I wasn't as nervous as a Miley.
I mean, it's traumatic. You never know what's gonna happen to childbirth.
Exactly.
It's really you really don't know what's gonna happen.
Exactly. So I was still nervous in my course. They kept telling me my whole pregnancy with Anya. Oh, you're an expert. You know what you're doing.
Every baby different though. My grandma says all kids are snowflakes. You're not gonna get the same experience.
At one point, I told them to stop telling me that because I really did not want y'all to think I was just like professional. Please don't forget to tell me what to do.
So being scared, and not to say terrified, but still kind of being edgy about it, even after having 4 kids. Mm-hmm. What was something like after you had a Miley, your first one? It wasn't anything that just you wish you knew, or you just weren't aware of, or man, maybe if I had did this, my birth wouldn't have been as long, or
I mean, the first thought that comes to my mind is breastfeeding. I did not get as much counseling. I didn't look into it as much. And I actually breastfed Miley the shortest time. And I wish I knew more about it because there's a lot of intimacy in it. And there's a lot of bonding, skin to skin.
Yes. All of that stuff. And what people don't get about intimacy is that it takes patience. Breastfeeding is a patient thing. You're not greater than or less than for being able to feed your child and keep them full. Like, that is just something you're supposed to do. And if your child needs more, you're not a bad mom because they need more. Right. And when you don't know and you don't have counseling, people just tell you like, oh girl, just give that baby whatever. We've been doing it. And it's like, when you want to challenge it, but you don't have anybody to back you up or any facts, it's like, what do you have to stand on?
Right. And for me, I'm not going to say I gave up, but you will be quick to give up if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't have the counseling, if you don't know the benefits of breastfeeding. And with the Miley, I was 18. So I just didn't, I'm not going to say I didn't care enough about it, but I just didn't know enough. I didn't know enough, and I didn't have that wisdom to, just keep trying and just stay with it. And with LaMelo, Emma even, and Anya, it was a year. I breastfed them a year.
Right.
LaMelo, I had to wean myself off because I was like,
that was me. That was so hard.
Yeah.
For me to stop breastfeeding. Oh my God.
It is.
It was such an empowering thing to do. It felt so good to know, like, I'm your lifeline.
Yeah, that part, and just that bonding moment, that intimacy, like we were saying. I mean,
I feel like it's important too. I feel like you shouldn't even be having kids and not to say you shouldn't have kids if you're not willing to breastfeed, but you should care about doing everything you can to establish and create a genuine bond with your seed. Like, I don't know what you having kids for if it's not for that.
Absolutely. Like, absolutely. You got to be willing to put stuff down, make sacrifices, and do what you have to do. I mean, that's first and foremost. And I never was a person that went out a lot. So I didn't have to really give up a lot of like my going out time or, man, this is hard because I want to go out.
Right. That's how I felt when I first had Melanie. I feel like.
And so but still, I needed to know more about breastfeeding. And I think that's a really important topic for first time moms or any mom, maybe second time.
Any mom,
yeah.
It needs to be touched on because they really want to abolish it completely, and that's a part of your body you should be using. So, like, don't even get me started because I'm not talking about. Yeah, it's like so. How many kids? Like before you even had kids, like what was like your? Oh, I'm gonna have this many kids, or I'm not gonna have none.
Listen, I never talked about. Oh, I'm going to get married. Oh, I'm going to have this. I'm going to take time. I never really planned stuff like that. Kids, I was always like, okay, if there's a brother and a sister, then that's perfect. A sibling. I always knew, like, I have 2 brothers. I do not have any sisters. And I just felt like, okay, if I'm going to have kids, I'm going to at least have 1 or 2. 3, you're starting to get outnumbered. Okay. So obviously at my 4th, Anya, she was not playing. She was not playing. You guys are gonna hear that a lot. I mean, things aren't planned. So I'm very spontaneous. Okay, but I definitely wanted to at least have 2. So here I am with 4, but who knows?
Hey, look, I love kids, so yeah. I was happy when you told me you was pregnant. You know what I said? I was like, what's her name?
Yeah.
And you were like,
But
what?
you're like super supportive. A lot of people don't have that super supportive friend.
Yeah, because you gotta understand, like, this is when you want to do life with people. Like, when people say 4L, I mean that, not just with my man. Like, if you my friend and we ain't going nowhere, that means we're doing life together. That means your problems are mine, your kids are mine. Like, obviously, you respect me enough to know I have my own stuff going on. But I would love to lighten any of my friends' load if I can.
Yeah, no, you're very ride or die,
Very much. Anybody who know me, anybody who know me, no, I'm not one of them. If I say I'm for you, I'm for you. If I'm not, if we ain't cool, it's look, other topics. But also, since having children, do you feel more connected to yourself or disconnected, or how do you feel like you've changed? Because I feel like I tap into myself, my younger self, now that I have Melanie, just to maybe stay connected to what she may be going through. Like, okay, I was a kid before, so I do understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. I definitely feel more tapped into myself. You know, when you're alone, you know, I guess you could say you're selfish to yourself, you know, and you don't think about other people as much. I mean, you may consider and care about other people, but to have to care for another life, it brings so many different things out of you. I mean, your character, who you are. I definitely learn more about myself, my strengths, my weaknesses, since having kids. And I've had a lot of people tell me you're such a great mom and everything. So I learned to be independent. I learned to be grateful. I even, you know, felt myself I was more connected with even God, you know, having kids.
I agree.
You know, because I
no way he not real.
Right. I
no way
that's something that you should teach your kids. I mean, another topic, of course, but you know, they need him in this world. I mean, I learned so much about myself by having kids. So I definitely feel more connected to myself. And I wouldn't say what was the second part of your question, because I want to make sure I elaborate on all of it, but I definitely feel connected. I want to make sure.
Oh no, that was pretty much it. Just more of a, you know, do you feel like you've changed? Because some mothers tend to feel like, you know, they don't have that sense of individuality as a mom, because they're just trying everything they can to make their kids happy, not realizing if you are not making yourself happy, you can't make another person happy.
Self-care, people.
You have to.
Even
if it's in bits and pieces, a lot of people just think, oh, I can't have self-care because, oh, I have all this time tied up. And people don't have supportive villages or families, which I totally get and respect. But you also have to pave the way for yourself to create that time.
Yeah.
You have to find those little moments and wedges in your day where you do take care of yourself. Even if it's minor, even if it's I hate to say it, but the more time you give to yourself, it opens up more self-care time. And you don't realize it because it slowly comes over time. And once you just learn how to be grateful for the little things, those little things grow and they just become something completely different entirely.
And everyone knows. And if you don't, this is important. You can't take care of anybody else if you don't take care of yourself.
Cannot.
You'll be trying to fix the kid's cereal, pouring the milk on the counter.
Right, because you're aggravated deep down.
Right. So, you be yelling at the dog. He looking at you like crazy. I mean, yeah, man, take time for yourself.
And that kind of pulls me into the very last question, where we'll just fully elaborate on just today's expectations and standards, because a lot of homes are broken now and there are more single moms out here, and people do weigh on them, expecting them to do and be so many things. And then there's all these other rules like, oh, cover up while breastfeeding, or oh, why are you feeding your baby this, or when are you going to start feeding your baby that? Like, it's just, there's so much to where it's like, where do you draw the line at? Like, what bothers you the most about, you know, just people's expectations of mothers, considering we make this world go round?
You know, I wrote some stuff down. I like to journal, and
me too.
When people speak on stuff they don't know about, topics they don't know about, experiences that they haven't had, but are speaking on other people's experiences, it grinds my gears.
Yes,
it really does, and it's
like, how dare you?
Right, it bothers me because no one's here in this world anymore. You don't see a lot of, let me hold your hand out to help you. Let me help you get up from your fall. It's a lot of, I'm just gonna beat on you, judge you, talk about you. And one of those topics, breastfeeding, it bothers me when anyone says, "Oh, you shouldn't breastfeed your child in public," or you shouldn't do this for your child. First of all,
You gonna beat my ass?
mind your business.
Are you gonna beat my ass?
I mean, what's going on with you that you have the audacity to say something about me?
For me, it's the sexualization of it all. I understand that men are aroused by our hips and dips and curves and enhancements.
Yes, yes.
But one thing about it, we didn't ask for these body parts.
Mhm.
We didn't ask for the functions that come with these body parts.
Right.
We're doing what we're supposed to do.
Right.
And I don't see nothing. Y'all love the Bible stuff. I don't see nothing in the Bible about breastfeeding and stuff. I understand modesty and I understand all of that for the sake of just as far as how people dress and all of that. But when it comes to feeding a child in today's world, I need you to really mind your business, and you might need to work on yourself mentally if you're worried about somebody with their boobs out in public. Like, what are you doing? Because clearly you know it's for the baby.
Right.
Like, you're sexualizing something that is for a child. That says more about you than me. And if you are uncomfortable, I can't tell you how easy it is to turn around and walk away.
I don't get it though. Like, what do you want me to do?
There's not, but I don't feel like there's anything for any mother to do. If you are uncomfortable with somebody breastfeeding in public, I'm gonna need you to just stay in your house. You don't be uncomfortable watching a cow get milked.
Listen, you got to think about the whole scenario though. Okay, I'm in the line. I'm at Target, and my child is crying. I mean, they're hungry, and I pull out my boob to feed them, and here you go staring at me like it's wrong. All right, let's pause here. Why are you checking out? Why aren't you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Why are you now honed in on me and what I'm doing for my child?
I wish somebody would have did that to me when I was breastfeeding.
Yeah.
There's this little thing with your index and your thumb. You hold your nipple and you squeeze it a certain way and it squirts milk out. I would squirt somebody in the eye. First of all,
Miley and Emma, they always want, and I know this is so funny, but they want me to squirt.
I would too.
They want me to do, hey,
you want some milk?
Mom, can you
got milk?
Squirt? I'm just
Yeah,
like,
that's
okay,
the problem.
that's being weird.
They're being weird. But how are you staring?
Yeah, I mean,
It's like, it's natural. Like, honestly, and my mom is also another reason why I feel like I got into breastfeeding. Because my mom breastfed my brother. She didn't breastfeed any of us, but obviously I feel like it was because my mom didn't have the resources and the help that she needed. But when she breastfed my brother, because she had more time to herself, shoot, I was like into it. And it wasn't like, oh my gosh, my mom has her boob out. And I didn't think of it like that. I thought, oh my gosh, my mom is strong. She's powerful. She's pulling my brother from her body.
Oh yeah.
This is magic. Like, for me, it was enlightening. Yeah, it's nothing wrong with explaining stuff to children. So when adults say, oh, I don't want to this and that, it's like, are you dense in the head?
That's the first step.
You don't have logic?
Yeah, actually explain first.
Yeah.
I don't just go straight to let me just,
you go straight to aggravation thinking the kid gets it.
Right.
And I dealt with that growing up.
Right.
Asking questions, being curious and getting shut down. And it's like, I'm just asking. You're coming at me like I know, but I don't know. I'm just curious.
I mean, and
that's a child.
Okay, the formula shortage, right?
Girl,
so the formula shortage, but then you got moms that breastfeed. They're not worrying about that.
Right.
They're just breastfeeding their child.
I want to understand why people are so against making their own milk. I don't get why people don't have confidence.
They don't know how to do it.
People don't have confidence in themselves. It's funny. People on YouTube, this video, it's stuff, YouTube University. It's stuff all over there for people to learn what they need to learn.
It takes
and figure it out. Like, I looked up a milk when I was pregnant and I was researching breastfeeding like anally every day. I was like, well, just in case, because people were so adamant about telling me that I wasn't going to be able to successfully breastfeed. I was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and look up an alternative because I'm telling y'all, I'm not doing rice. I'm not doing formula. I'm not doing none of the factory bullshit. And I found a recipe for 3 different types of milk. I know how to make almond milk, oat milk, and hemp milk. It is simply and fairly easy. All you need is a couple of gallons of water and some seeds. And they have. And it's like proper storage, all that stuff is tedious, but you save money in the long run. And I bet you if you spent an hour and a half less on your phone every day, you can get a lot of that stuff done. You're prepping a lot of phone,
but be
productive. Right. People make so many
stuff out. You're just scrolling through other people's lives and not enhancing your own. I mean, invest in yourself.
Look, and I agree. That's why I don't like the whole argument, because I'm like, I don't have nothing against formula. You have to do what you have to do, obviously.
Right.
But looking at the state of the world and just weighing out the odds of how people turn out, especially growing like a developing child, you're not getting all the nutrients you need from formula. You're getting a fraction of what you need from formula.
How much in the first year? How much do you think people spend on formula?
Oh, easily like $3,000.
3,000?
Easily.
I mean, that
like over a period of time, easily. Because formula is what? How much? I don't know. I never bought it. Refused to buy it. I got free formula from somebody and like gave it away.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you this. Miley, my firstborn. I told you I didn't breastfeed her as long. Maybe I think it was 6 months. And
That's not bad. I'll tell anybody, if you can breastfeed for at least the first 2 months, you're still doing better than most moms.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes me feel better.
I think, me personally, off the information I've gathered, I think that any woman that can breastfeed for at least 2 months did what they were supposed to do. I would never pressure a mother into breastfeeding. I do wish more mothers advocated for it like I do, but I totally get it. This world is not like what it used to be. We can't just, some women don't have the luxury just sitting around.
They don't.
So I totally get it.
They don't.
But I do appreciate those moms that put thought into what they give their children. Like everybody looked at Summer Walker crazy for doing the alkaline diet and also trying to give her child hemp milk. She was trying to make it because of the doulas and the holistic people that she had around her helping her. And I was like, oh, y'all were looking at me crazy because the stuff Summer Walker was doing was the same stuff I was doing.
But that's what I was talking about. People always
I wasn't broadcasting it and I don't have that big platform, but Summer Walker was pointing out well after I looked up the recipe for hemp milk. And I was like, she on the right path. Because hemp milk is good for protein and it's good for heart health for a baby. If for some reason you cannot make it, you can go buy hemp seeds for $14, $15, buy 2 gallons of spring water for $2, $3 and make your own milk. It's the same thing.
Humans are lazy.
That stuff that you buy at the store, the stuff in the cans, all that stuff is chemicals and processed and whatever. All of it is.
And what I was gonna say is,
don't get me started.
After the 6 months, I did give Miley formula.
Right.
Now she's my straight A student.
Oh, that's genius.
In the medical field, in the medical program. Okay.
Yeah.
So she's she's
my favorite.
doing great. I mean, Miley is mine.
But it doesn't. I'm not gonna say it doesn't affect anything developmentally. Like, I'm sorry, as far as developing like her, a kid gonna be who they're gonna be.
Right.
But my thing is with Miley, and this is not to speak on your child or give too much of her personal business to this podcast, but Miley has other food allergies that concern me. Right. And I don't think that I feel like that she shouldn't have them. It's it makes me wonder if you were counseled differently, would her diet be a little bit different now?
Right.
Because she probably altered throughout her childhood of what she did and didn't like based on what she was eating.
Right.
And it's like, it makes me wonder, like, not even just formula, but just all the foods that we eat. I really think that it affects children's appetites.
It does.
Melanie had a good appetite until her dad started giving her processed food and junk. And she still eats fairly well, but she's picky in some ways now because she's had those sweets.
There's a lot of data
food.
and a lot of experiments that I'd like to personally do.
Yes.
With processed food.
Yes.
But
even the food coloring.
Right.
I'm very funny about that stuff.
Dietary nutritionist.
You should.
And
we need more of them.
That is going to really take it to the next level with my family.
Because you're already halfway there. You're pretty mindful about what you give them. And they actually eat fairly well. Even LaMelo eats very well.
He does.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
And I have given him McDonald's and I have given him processed food, but I can
He doesn't eat all the time though either. I've sat up and watched LaMelo eat everything y'all cook. I've never been to the house.
You're cookers.
Yeah, Melo I've never seen him just eating mess. He eats whatever y'all give him.
Yeah.
And you can't say that. Every kid's not like that. A lot of parents try to over accommodate their children by being lazy.
Right.
Not realizing that taking the time to introduce foods and do stuff there's a calmer, slower way to do things. And I really feel like if you don't have the patience for that, you shouldn't have kids because they deserve that.
Yes.
Don't regret it later when they're grown. Just plan it out. Like you can't really plan out everything when it comes to having a kid, but as far as the care that they receive and the intimacy of their life, I really feel like people need to put more thought into it.
They do. They didn't choose to be here, but they're here.
Right. Like Melanie wasn't for sure planned, but I definitely slowed these things down for her. I didn't say, we got to make this work. Like I slowed my life. I didn't work for almost a year.
Because you're a great mom.
Just because I wanted to, I made those sacrifices, and I prepped while I was pregnant. I prepared myself to be off for a year while I was pregnant. I didn't beg or ask nobody for nothing. Like, it was just, we gonna get this done, and I'm happy I did. I got to spend time with my child. So,
and if you can't, it doesn't make you a bad mom, but you can still prepare and plan for the better things for them.
Right? Because it's like, you can't make nobody else feel bad for how you, like, I never said like, oh, everybody help me. There's a certain way I want to parent my child.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have to be the one to do it so it's done right, that's just how it's going to have to be done, you know? But
yeah, I mean, you know, obviously breast milk is better than formula. It's not saying if you don't if you don't breastfeed your child, you're bad. But I do believe that just strictly off of immunity, their immune system getting better.
Especially with the world right now.
Right. I mean, even the research that shows when you're sick or your kid is sick, your breast milk changes.
And it did. And I actually did that.
Accommodate
yes.
your child.
Every cycle of milk you give her changes.
So crazy to me.
Based on her needs, the saliva from her tongue onto your nipples. Like, if she's even getting sick,
right,
and she's not all the way there yet, because the symptoms don't always show right away.
Your body knows.
Your breath in your body will literally be like, look, this is the next batch for her. This is what we're doing. And shoot, me, Melanie, and her dad all got COVID one time. She was only sick a day.
Yeah.
She was only sick for one day.
Yeah.
She was on my breast the entire day and slept all day. The next day she was regular. She just had mucus.
Yeah.
She was just congested. Me and her dad were dog sick for like 3 days.
I always tell the girls, and I tell Mello, I say the girls a lot because, you know, I have 3 of them, but back in the day, back, before formula was even made or thought of, what do we have? The breast.
We only had breast milk, and then also if farmers that had goats or cows, they would use their milk as alternatives. Or also, not to be all gentrified, but, you know, sometimes they just, you know, took milk from black slaves, these white folks. But they would, black women were breastfeeding white children. So there's that. But yeah, there was alternatives back then, but even back then, the milk from the farmers and stuff like that, it was raw. It was more natural. Like the milk now, I think people should be drinking cow's milk and eating meat and stuff like that, but it's compromised now. Like it's overly processed.
Because a lot of them keep up with this world. Yeah. So demanding.
And we literally need animal fat. That's the sad part. Like, a lot of people don't consume it, but we need it. Like, our body literally needs it to build cells and create energy. It's actually crazy. I don't think I would ever just be full-fledged vegan, knowing what I know about the world.
Yeah,
I dove way too deep, and it's like, dang. So basically, what you're saying is y'all just brainwashed everybody and everything.
That's to where we
need. So to where we need y'all's fucked up alternatives.
It's like water's not even real anymore.
It's literally not. Tap water. They said there was E. coli in the tap water here in Jacksonville.
Oh yeah.
So
no, that's terrible.
Yeah, it's like, this is just the world that we live in. Honestly,
we can't let the governments, the FDAs, and all of this control what we put into our body, and that's what
they're trying to.
That's what we do. We consume the process,
and we trust we trust the source way too much. A lot of y'all trust
the fake stuff, artificial,
all that,
and we just eat it. We consume it. Like,
no questions asked.
Right.
And but then when someone asks questions, it's like, well, what's wrong with him? Like, why you asking all these questions? Just live. And it's like, y'all not questioning anything scares me.
Right.
That scares me.
Right. Right.
And then thinking logically and something don't add up and you just let it go, that scares me. Like, it's clearly wrong and you're just like, well, whatever.
There definitely has to be change, but a lot of people are comfortable. And that even goes back to, you know, what we were talking about with taking your boob out in public, taking your breast out in public, breastfeeding. People are so comfortable that it makes them uncomfortable to see something natural like breastfeeding.
To accommodate anybody else outside of what's normal to them is not going to happen. Because they're like, okay, well, all these other people, we're in agreement that this isn't okay, so you need to fix it. Instead of y'all coming up with a way to accommodate me and my beliefs and what makes me comfortable. Like, you can't sit up and tell a mother, oh, we'll just figure it out. Okay, well, when I just figure it out, y'all still talk about me. It doesn't matter what a mom does it's like the 2 cents are always there, and I really would just rather throw the 2 cents back in your face. Like, I didn't ask you.
Right.
I'm not looking for, like, for me, I feel bad for people who like get in those situations and they feel judged or they feel too seen and they're just trying to live. Because for me, it's like, hey, I know at the end of the day, you can get out of my business. Because when I walk out of the store and I have to go home, I have to do all this by myself. And that's fine, but I'm not here complaining or hounding nobody about nothing. Babies cry, babies get hungry. Like, I'm not bothering you. Like,
no one.
I pulled out my breast, I think maybe 2 or 3 times in public when I was breastfeeding her, but it was really when we were in restaurants. Like, I didn't take Melanie a whole lot of places either, only because of COVID.
Right.
But had I not, I wouldn't. I wanted somebody to say something to me.
We shouldn't have to stay inside.
I didn't buy extra swaddle blankets.
Right.
To cover up my child.
Right.
My child, and the thing is, my baby was a hot body. So, like, if I even held my baby for too long, her whole neck would sweat, her whole head she was just hot. Me and her both are like that.
Wow.
So, you want me to feed my child under a hot blanket and she's naturally hot so she can get all... I'm not making my baby uncomfortable for nobody on this planet. That's because none of y'all care about us. I care about me and her, point blank, period.
That's
like, I don't play like that. I'm not making myself uncomfortable to accommodate nobody who's not helping me on a daily basis.
Right.
You gotta start thinking like that and stop letting this world bully you. A lot of women, that's another reason why I made this podcast. Y'all be getting bullied. And I'm not saying this to pick at women, but I'm so tired of y'all not having no voice. So if y'all want to use mine, use it. But I'm so tired of women getting bullied for just trying to exist.
Right.
Like, not even
definitely have to
you don't get a break. Like at all.
Take care of yourself. Don't worry about other people. Don't worry about what other people think.
Exactly.
You have yourself your support system. And if you can't get your support system, this is a really good place to start.
Exactly.
Because you'll have support.
Always.
And you definitely will. And you'll have people that aren't going to bash you and judge you because of, and you know, if you have an opinion, you have a thought, and you want to talk about it,
Like, that's what this is